If you've only seen digital forensics on TV, you're probably thinking it's all about frantic hacking and getting answers in seconds. Well, the reality is, it's a lot more disciplined, way more methodical, and honestly, it's so much more fascinating. So today, I'm giving you a real investigator's briefing on what this field is really all about. So let's just tackle this one head on. Is this job just about getting back deleted files? I mean, sure, that can be part of it, but saying that's all there is to it, well, that's like saying a surgeon's job is just about using a scalpel. You'd be missing the entire point, the real skill, the actual power of the profession. All right, let's get into it. Here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what I call the forensic superpower, the thing that really sets this field apart. Then we'll look at the two different worlds where these investigations happen, walk through the strict protocol we always have to follow, get into the #1 rule of preserving evidence, and wrap it up with the investigator's code of conduct. Okay, this first part gets right to the heart of it. Look, we're not tech support, and we're not just data recovery specialists. What we do is held to a much, much higher standard, because the stakes, they're infinitely higher. This is what I mean by the forensic superpower. Here it is, the official definition, but I want you to zero in on two parts here: investigative procedures and for a legal purpose. See, this isn't just a technical puzzle. It's a discipline that's built from the ground up to stand up in a court of law. And that changes everything. This right here draws a big, bright line in the sand. Data recovery, it's about one thing: getting files back. That's it. But digital forensics, it's a science. Our findings have to be repeatable. Another expert has to be able to follow our steps and get the exact same result. Every single time we touch the evidence, it's logged in what's called a chain of custody. Why all this? Because everything we do, every conclusion we draw, has to hold up under intense legal scrutiny. That rigor, that scientific method, that is the superpower. So where do we actually use this superpower? Well, not every case involves flashing lights and police tape. Our work really happens in two very different worlds, and each one has its own set of rules. In the public sector, we're working with law enforcement. The end goal is to prosecute a crime, and our authority to even look at the evidence comes from legal documents, like a search warrant, which is all governed by the Fourth Amendment. Now, in the private sector, it's a totally different ballgame. The goal there is usually about enforcing company policy. Think things like data theft or someone misusing company systems. Our authority there? It comes from company policy itself. You know, those warning banners you click OK on every time you log in? But here's the thing. Whether it's a public criminal case or a private corporate one thing never, ever changes. We don't guess. We don't improvise. Every single investigation follows a systematic, fully documented protocol. There's just no room for winging it when your findings could land someone in prison or get them fired. And this is that protocol. We follow these 5 steps always in this exact order. First, we form a hypothesis, a theory about what happened. Then we identify where the digital evidence, we call them artifacts, might be hiding. We collect it, analyze it, and finally, we build a thesis from our findings. It's really just the scientific method, but our lab is a digital crime scene. And the absolute key to all of this is documentation. The chain of custody is basically the evidence's diary. It logs who had it, when they had it, and what they did with it. If that chain is broken, even for a minute, the evidence can be thrown out of court. It's completely non-negotiable. Okay, now we're getting to the single most important role in our entire field. It's more important than any fancy tool or clever technique, and that is the absolute mandate to preserve the integrity of the original digital crime scene. This is it. This is our prime directive. We never, ever, ever work on the original piece of evidence. The risk of changing something, even by accident, is just way too high. Our whole process is designed to protect that original media at all costs. So you're probably asking, how do you investigate without touching the original? Well, we create what's called a bitstream copy. Think of it as a perfect, bit-for-bit clone of the original hard drive or phone. This copy, this forensic image, is what we actually work on. The original, it gets sealed in an evidence bag and locked away, safe and sound. And here is exactly why we are so strict about that rule. Just booting up a computer contaminates it. The moment you turn it on, the operating system starts writing new log files, updating timestamps. It could even overwrite the very deleted data you were looking for. The digital crime scene can get compromised before the investigation even begins. So finally, let's talk about the investigator. The tools are important, sure, but the credibility of the evidence rests entirely on the credibility of the person who analyzed it. That's why we live and breathe by a strict professional code of conduct.
This is our bedrock. We have to be objective. We let the data tell the story, not our own theories. Confidentiality is absolute. Integrity is everything. And because technology changes by the second, we have to be constantly learning. See, our superpower isn't just about the tech. It's built on a foundation of trust.
And our commitment to doing things right doesn't stop when the report is filed. One of the most important final steps for any case is to have our peers critique our work. What did we do well? What could we do better next time? This culture of constant review is how we keep ourselves sharp and ensure our standards stay incredibly high. And that kind of brings us to what's next. It used to be our work was all about computers and maybe a cell phone. But now, the crime scene is everywhere. It's in your car, your smart thermostat, your TV, the whole Internet of Things. So as literally everything becomes a potential source of evidence, the real question is, how will the core principles we just talked about have to adapt? Well, that's the challenge for the next generation of investigators.